Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming on to show you my Scruffy Shabby Sunflowers. Now I've made them a few weeks ago just to decorate the place for autumn, and apologies to those of you who might have seen these on Facebook already and who are sick of the sight of them. So I'll show them to you and I'll try and explain how I made them. You don't really need a tutorial, it's just they're all made from scraps. Now, before I start into them, I'll have to say that to make these and to have them looking their best, you would want to use fairly sturdy, heavy fabric, like furnishing fabric or curtain fabric. They won't work well if you use quilting cotton or dressmaking cotton. Anything, you need a fairly heavy fabric for these, something that's designed for curtain making or cushion making. And there's plenty of remnants to be found. You can even cut up old curtains and old cushions and maybe tea dye them. Now I have tea dyed this one. Now all I have done is cut out a circle here, cut out a circle of fabric, and to the center of it I've added just a crochet circle. I wouldn't even call it a doily, and I've added loads and loads of French knots to it, very roughly irregular French knots. I don't want the embroidery police after me. They're meant to be irregular and scruffy looking. They're meant to represent the sunflower seeds. And then I put a bit of my own machine embroidered lace on top of it. This is meant to be a rolled up rose, but it looks so horrible that I had thrown it out and I had to go out into the bin and rescue it. And don't worry folks, I did wash it and I tea dyed it just to give it the genuinely scruffy effect. Now for the petals, what I did was get some fabric, get a long narrow length of fabric, and I folded it in two, and I just cut strips down into it like this. Just straight down into it, almost as far as the line of sewing, but not quite. And this way it's quite easy to bend it around the original circle and just sew it on. And that's it basically. It's just rows and rows of strips sewn around. And I didn't tidy up the edges or anything. It's meant to be scruffy looking, and I tea dyed the whole thing then. And you can see from the back there's another circle here put onto it, and there's a little bit of stuffing here in the middle, and there's a cane, an ordinary garden cane, glued up into it, and that's all. Just plenty of long narrow strips of fabric chopped up, sewn around the edges, tea dyed, and then I added a butterfly as well. And there again, he wasn't a great example of machine embroidery. He was a bit dodgy looking. So I kind of half tea dyed him and stuck him on, because these aren't meant to be perfect. They're meant to be scruffy. Scruffy is the word. And wait till I see, I'll give you the sizes here. The center circles, you need one for the front and one for the back. And roughly this one was about 6 inches in diameter. And the embroidered, or not, the crochet circle would have been about 4.5 or 5 inches in diameter. It's just there again, it's very, very rough. I have been doing slightly fancier centers, but I leave it. So that's the big one, and I was going to say it weighs, but it measures roughly 10 inches if you stretch out the petals, almost 10 inches. So it would be the size of a garden sunflower. And then I have two smaller ones here that I made as well, and I've done these petals slightly different, but the same thing, a circle of fabric. There's no ends turned in, there's no finishing off, there's nothing neat about these. They're all irregular, unfinished edges, and there again they were tea dyed. The same thing, circles of fabric, cut circles of fabric, and stitch your strips of cloth around it. Now this time I experimented a bit and I decided to make pointy petals. Now how you make the pointy petals, you just cut down at an angle, almost as far as the stitching, cut down at an angle again. That's one set of petals made. and then cut down. Now, this bit here, sorry, it's very hard, it's very grey today and it's very hard to see what I'm doing. But this petal here, when you're doing it properly, it will fall out. Now I keep these, I put them to one side, and then you sew your, once again, you just sew your strip of petals around and you keep making them. I usually sew a double strip, you know, I sew one strip and then I sew another strip on top of it. And then I get these bits and I place them down like that and sew them on. Like you can sew it with a machine or hand sew it or glue it, it doesn't matter. So I just place these like single petals here and there around to give it a more, to make it fuller looking. The same thing again, there's a crochet circle, it's not even doily in the centre, my tea-dyed bit of machine embroidered rose and the Mad French knots and tea-dyed butterfly. And this one is exactly the same but a bit smaller, and they do look nice in, I went out and I bought a vase specially for them. Oh, the waste of money. Anyway, and this one has 2 butterflies. I should have used a tin can and covered it with fabric or something like that. But you can see they have this sort of mad look about them, and they're just like sunflowers that have been, well, they're kind of meant to be sunflowers that have been exposed to a bit of wind and rain. There again, there's loads of French knots, and I'm using up some yarn, some cotton yarn. They aren't great French knots, they're rough, they're ignorant looking, they're lopsided, but that's the whole point of it. These are totally mad, and they're my style because I can't do things perfect. I'm not a dressmaker, I'm a crafter. So I have started on a few more, and this is another one I've started on. And this time I've decided to try and use up some of my lace supplies. I've put a crochet doily. Now this was one I got in Iraq, crochet doily. And I added ordinary lace, well, the sort of lace most of us have, on top of the layer of petals. And the same thing, this is the way the lace starts out. It starts out like this, but I cut down into it, very much like I make the petals. Like this and like this. So there again, it's very easy to stretch it, to place it around the edge, sew it or glue it down so that it looks like petals. And I've only just started on these, and I don't think I will add the cane or the stem part onto these. I think I'll just attach some sort of a hanger to the back of them and hang them up on the wall rather than putting them into a glass or a vase or something. You can see here I joined 2 pieces together. I'm using scraps, so I didn't have anything big enough for the centre of the sunflower. I measured this one again, that's 9 inches. So I didn't have anything big enough to do a 5-inch circle or whatever I was doing for the centre. So just joined 2 pieces together, and honestly, there it is. It doesn't look bad. Well, I don't think it looks bad. And there again, I will be putting a little bit of stuffing into the centre to pad them out. I'll be probably adding beads as well as French knots here, and I'll be putting chains or some kind of a hanging contraption to the back of them when I have them finished. So I will come back on and show you the finished articles. I hope you've kind of managed to follow my mad sunflowers, but as I said, it's a great project for autumn or fall or whatever you call this time of the year. And if you live in the southern hemisphere, you could make them in pink or blue. Quite possible. They don't, sunflowers, in your own imagination, sunflowers can be any colour. And if you have long narrow strips left over from the crafting project, another great way of using them. So yes, I have started 2 more, and I will come back at some stage and show them to you. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, have a great day, happy crafting, bye.